Hello, thanks for watching. My name is Jordan with Juniper Performing Arts Foundation, and this is Beyond the Curtain. Today I am joined by Danica Miller.
Hi.
Danica? Danica or Dani?
You can call me Dani.
Dani. Okay. All right. I'm going to call her Dani. So Dani, tell us about who is Dani.
I am a theatrical designer, technical director, music producer, and just an all-around artist.
I love it.
Yeah.
There's layers there that I was unaware of. So we're going to dig into that.
Okay.
All right. So tell me, let's dive into your background a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I've been doing theater since I was a teenager. I did it at the high school that I work at now. And I went into it kind of more focused on acting, and it helped me kind of develop my social skills. And as I got a bit older and I went into college, I kept studying theater. I kind of realized that the tech side of things really itched both sides of my brain in a way that acting didn't quite do it for me, because I really like technology and electronics and things like that too, on top of making art and performing. So getting to do sound design and lighting design in college and even costuming and stuff like that, it all really helped me figure out what I wanted to do. And then I came back here in 2020. I graduated from NMSU.
Okay.
And it was kind of a rough time to graduate college with a theater degree.
Yeah, for sure.
There wasn't a lot of work, so I was just out of work for a while. And I started getting jobs around Farmington when things started opening up again. I was working at the college at first, and then started doing stuff at the Civic Center too. And now I'm the theater manager at Piedra Vista High School.
Awesome.
And I still work at the college and the Civic Center too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I've definitely seen your work at the Civic Center. I have to say, so right now we're running Grease, or they're running Grease at the Civic Center, out at Sandstone, and I always love your lighting designs at Sandstone. Sandstone is such a unique space, and the fact that you can take me from a sunset into the world that is going on stage is always amazing to me. And I love the way you use the rocks and everything. Specifically in this show, when they're at the drive-in theater, you blew my freaking mind. Okay, I would have never thought to flicker the lights on stage.
Yeah, that was Randy was asking, hey, how can we make this look like a movie theater? And I was like, well, we could strobe some of the lights to kind of get that flickering effect from an old screen. And yeah, it worked really well. I really like how that scene just looks throughout the whole thing.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Kelsey and I went and saw it on opening night. And because I always have to hit opening and closing, and then probably 4 or 5 in between. But we went opening night, and I saw the flicker, and at first I was like, "Oh, what happened?" And then I was like, "They're at a movie. That's what's going on." That's amazing. I loved it. It was really good.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Speaking of congratulations, you won an award.
Well, I was nominated.
I thought you won that one. You were nominated for the award.
Well, I hope I didn't win it and didn't know about it, because that'd be pretty embarrassing.
Okay, well, being nominated.
I know that I got pretty high up on the scoreboards too.
Okay.
I think I was number 2 or number 3 in the vote when it kind of came down to it. But yeah, that's really cool to get recognized for my work on it was The Little Mermaid that they nominated. And yeah, I really went all out with that last summer. I feel like I try to really push the envelope with each of my designs and kind of implement new tricks and new styles and work on improving the way things are timed and stuff. There's a lot of little incremental improvements I think that I make with each design, and you really could see that with Little Mermaid, I felt. So it was cool to have so much recognition for that.
Yeah. That was another one where the lighting really just drew you into the world. We had Millie on recently, and we talked a lot about the audience becoming a part of the performance. And I think the work that you do on those shows is, it's such an integral part of that. Because actors can only do so much.
Right.
You have to have the whole thing.
You have to be able to see them.
Yeah. You have to be able to see them. And preferably not burn the theater down at the same time, right? That's a little history of lighting in theaters, right?
A little bit, yeah.
So it's really impressive when you get to see the whole thing come together. So what else? Let's go back to your background a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you started in an acting world.
Yeah. I think it was just, I wanted to be in theater. My big brother was he was huge in drama when he was in high school. And when I was younger, I really wanted to just be like my brother. And so I was like, I'm going to do theater. And I really got into it. I had a lot of fun. I was making friends. It was a nice environment, different. It was really one of the first extracurriculars I did where I really felt like I was in a place where I belonged and I was doing what I wanted to do. Started there. I had been writing music on computers since I was 12 years old too. And a lot of that kind of translated over into my sound design work and stuff and my other tech, just having that background with computers and all that. It all mixed together well, I think.
So what were some roles that you got to bring to life?
Okay, let's see. One of my favorite ones from high school was, it was a show called Avoiding the Pitfalls of High School Dating. It was a Don Zolaitis show. So I don't know if you know Don Zolaitis, but he does a lot of these high school centered plays that he writes. And I was one of these not a dating contestant or something. They were teaching my character how to go on dates, and I was playing this really awkward, nerdy guy. And throughout the play, he becomes more confident, and then meets this other girl that matches his energy, and that's how the show ended. There was one role. It was the show was called The Brothers Grimm Spectaculathon, and I think part of the framing device in that was that all of the cast except for me quit in the middle of the production. So at the very end of that show, I was playing every character in Cinderella or something like that, and that was really fun. And in college, I got some kind of side character roles a couple times. We did Servant of Two Masters my freshman year at NMSU, and I played this character who was supposed to be planted in the audience. They needed a new prompter for the actors, so someone to read off lines, and they just point at me in the audience and are like, you can be the prompter. And then I go up there and it turns out I'm mute. So I'm prompting the lines with all these ridiculous gestures and stuff. That was pretty fun. Servant of Two Masters is a really cool show. And then I was a background character in Equivocation too, which is it's about writing the Scottish play. I think it's kind of about Shakespeare's writing process. It's historical fiction, but that was a really cool show. The set was gorgeous. One of the coolest sets I've seen. And that's kind of my acting resume.
Yeah,
kind of stopped there. I haven't done a lot since then.
So you kind of figured out that you enjoyed the tech side of things.
Yeah. I think the acting side of things, it's I kind of realized that it wasn't what I wanted to do as a career. The pressure and the competition and the importance on your appearance and things like that. It was it wasn't too appealing to me. After a while. I was but then I got into the tech side of things, and I really enjoyed it. I felt like I was really finding a niche that I was good at, and I just stuck with it and kept doing it. So.
Did you receive a scholarship to go to NMSU?
Yes, I did. I got, the Crimson Scholarship, which was just kind of a blanket scholarship for NMSU, covered a lot of my housing and all of my tuition and my books and stuff like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough scholarship to hold on to. They want you to have a 3.5 through your whole time there, and I got a little close to losing it a couple times, but I made it through, so that was cool.
What was what was that process, the application, and how did you go about that?
getting into NMSU or
for that scholarship also?
They just offered it to me after I applied to the school. I think that my ACT scores were high enough, and my high school GPA was pretty good too, for them to want to throw that money at me.
Awesome. Scholarships can be real hit and miss.
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah, so that's awesome. When did you kind of figure out that maybe tech was more your thing?
Honestly, it wasn't until like halfway through my junior year of college, or even my senior year, when I started getting design roles, I was like, oh, I love doing this. I loved, I did some sound design work at first for a couple shows, and it's just so much fun. It's such an important part of the show sometimes, but also like a discrete part of the show. You've always heard people say sound design is good if you don't notice it, which I don't completely agree with that, but that's because I pay attention to sound design.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun to edit recordings and implement them into cues and work with like kind of the environmental aspects of sound too, like where you put speakers and stuff. A lot of my sound designs, I'd place speakers behind the actors to kind of create a more immersive sound on the stage with those sound designs. And a lot of that stuff is just very interesting. And I realized that I really like doing it. I started doing lighting design a little later. I was James Padilla's assistant designer at one point at NMSU. And he kind of became a mentor figure for me, even though he was just another student at the time.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, and I kept doing that and realized I really liked it too. And it's like a completely different world in some ways to sound. I just kept doing it, and it stuck with me. I wanted to try all of it too. I did costume design for a couple shows. I was a stitcher for the costume shop for a few things. That's a lot of fun. So it wasn't quite as interesting to me as lighting and sound was,
Sure.
but I was still into it. And
That's awesome. I love the kind of career arc that you experienced. I think it's a lot of times. So we focus with Juniper right now. We're focusing on these youth programs, and a lot of times we focus just on stage work,
right?
Because those tend to be the kids that show up for things, right? Is they're the ones that want to be on stage, and so they get a lot of focus. But there's definitely, I think, and this is something that we're trying to kind of. I don't know if revive is the right word, but we're trying to get the ball rolling so that kids know, hey, you can be a part of the theater without being under the hot lights.
Right. Yeah.
You can be the brain behind the hot lights, and that's really important too.
It is. It's really exciting to see some of these high schoolers and these younger kids kind of get into these tech positions and realize that they really like doing it. And I mean, I've even seen a few, that's the career path they've taken after a couple of years. And it's just really neat. And sometimes I learn things from these kids. They've got a different eye when it comes to technology. And sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't know that I could do that with the lighting console. And I've had a couple students, like, they figure out their own tricks, and it's really interesting to watch cool. Kids grow as designers and as technicians.
Yeah, that's really awesome. My oldest son, Owen, he got to turn on the black lights for, I think, Suzical Jr.
Cool.
And he really wanted to try to be on stage. He was just old enough that he might be able to. He really wanted to try it, and then he got up there to audition. He was too nervous, and so somebody suggested, they're like, "Well, why don't we make you like an ASM? Why don't we put you as a stage manager?" And he kind of hung out with the stage managers, and I know, like, those poor girls, they were just saints because he bugged the crap out of them. But they did really great, and they were very nice to him. And then they said, "Hey, we have a perfect job for you. You just got to flip this switch." And so every night he would sit out in the audience with me, because he didn't quite understand, where he needed to. He'd sit out, and he knew where his cue was in the show. And he'd get up and he'd go backstage and flip the little light switch and come running back out. That's me. I did that. So like
Nice.
even those little things that opened up a whole world for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he now this year, he's, oh, Dad, I think I want to audition for the show. Okay, cool. But he understands that there's two sides, or more than two. There's multiple sides of the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's really great. So your position at PV,
mm-hmm.
kind of walk me through that. What is that?
So I'm not necessarily like a teacher there. My job is to run the Toronto Crispin Performing Arts Theater. It's kind of the only like real auditorium that Farmington Municipal Schools has. So a lot of other schools in the district like to come in and use that space for their concerts or their meetings. We have spelling bees in there. We have the Dani spelling bee comes in sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of different things happen in there. And so my job is to kind of facilitate that schedule, keep all the equipment running and up to date as much as I can. And I help with the PV drama productions too. I'm kind of the technical director for PV drama. I help build the sets, and I teach the tech side of things a little bit, and do some of my own design work there to fill in when we don't have students for it. Yeah, that's kind of it. Manage the schedule, manage the equipment, manage some of the students.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it's a big job. Like it's a really nice theater. It's a big space. So I'm sure there's a lot to do when it comes to keeping everything in working.
Yeah, it's unique in a lot of ways too, because it's big, but it's also small.
Yeah.
Like the stage has some quirks for that. They wanted it to kind of fit into the smaller category of theaters with like the fire regulations and things like that.
Sure.
But they also wanted an auditorium that could seat 750 people. So you ended up with this space that's like wants to be bigger than it actually is, and that can be interesting to work with at times. And the infrastructure is getting a little old, so when we want to update things there, we kind of have to find creative ways to make newer equipment work. Our lighting, we have some LEDs in there, and the way that works, they need a direct connection to a computer, basically, not just a dimmer that turns the lights on and off. We didn't have any of that like networking originally, and we still don't. So my solution to that was to just run wireless data to our lighting so that we could still have these intelligent fixtures for our students to work with, without having to tear up a bunch of stuff to install data lines and things like that. And yeah, there's always interesting ways to kind of approach modernizing a theater that it has older infrastructure. And I kind of enjoy that a lot. So
yeah, that's great. So does that when you put that wireless element in, does that create delays that you have to account for, or does it all pretty rapid?
A little bit. I've noticed with it that like sometimes it's instantly responsive, but sometimes it lags a little bit. So it's not super consistent. It's something you have to keep in mind when you're programming cues. If you want very deliberate timing, you might miss that a little bit with the wireless data. It's not super bad, and it's probably mostly something I would notice versus the audience, but it is there. There's some latency issues with it.
Huh. Interesting.
It is very reliable, though. I've never had any issues with our wireless data at that theater. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah.
That can be challenging in those big buildings, especially with the older buildings. You basically are working inside a giant Faraday cage.
Right. Yeah.
And, you end up with a lot of blocking.
And that kind of, it can work in your benefit too sometimes, especially with like managing a bunch of wireless microphones and stuff. When you have a very thick surrounding environment around your space, it gets easier to manage all that radio frequency stuff. Got its benefits and its drawbacks.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I was up at Sandstone the other day, and I never thought about this on like the mic side of things. I don't think they've ever experienced a problem, but the front of house staff, they all have walkie-talkies that they talk to, and they were picking up Chick-fil-A.
Huh.
They could hear the Chick-fil-A, not the order system, but like the employees talking to each other.
Interesting.
And so they were like, well, how do we, what do we need to do? And they tried changing channels and it was still picking it up. And so the frequencies must have just been close enough, but it made me wonder. I'm like, I wonder if they've ever like accidentally broadcast Chick-fil-A across the station.
I don't think we have yet. But yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
You can pick up stuff you don't want to pick up.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of these, it's a digital signal now on a lot of these microphones. So like really you don't pick up other radio stuff, but it can interfere and distort the signal if you're in a very occupied frequency range. Yeah.
So the digital signal dials it directly in, like we're talking to these two things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It knows what it's looking for, basically. The receivers do. And that, I think that helps a little bit with some of that interference stuff, but you still have to be really careful not to have your mics in the wrong area.
Yeah.
And there's even like some legal stuff around that if you're on the police channel or something, or the cell phone tower stuff, and you start interfering with that, you can get the FCC might get involved. So you got to be careful and know what you're doing when it comes to wireless equipment.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. And that's different from like an analog system where it just kind of broadcasts a signal and you're picking up the same signal on, sender receiver kind of situation. I always think of the Lucille Ball story. Are you familiar with that?
Refresh my memory.
So there's a story from Lucille Ball that allegedly she was picking up a radio station through her fillings where she could actually hear it. Somehow it would resonate in her jaw and she could actually hear the radio station. And people always thought she was crazy, but now we have like bone conducting technology.
Right? Yeah.
So maybe she wasn't crazy.
Maybe not.
Yeah, it's kind of
that's interesting.
I don't know how, it's probably not entirely true, but she did. I think she was on the Tonight Show. I don't know. There's a clip out there of her talking about it. So I know she really talked about it.
Huh.
But yeah, I mean,
wild.
And it could happen because we're just sending all this stuff through the airwaves.
It's just all in the air.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's pretty incredible. So what are some cool things that you're working on right now?
So with Grease, usually I'd be done with it by now, but our stage manager needed to take a weekend off she had some other thing she needed to go do. So they needed someone to cover calling the show, and that's what they're having me do this weekend. So
sweet.
Tonight and until Sunday,
Nice.
I'm calling the show. So the stage manager will sit up in the booth and call cues. My cues that I designed, she relays that to our light board operator, and he hits the go button when she tells him to. And so I've just got a copy of her script, and I'm just following along with the show and calling out all the cues. It's interesting because it's like my design that I'm calling to. I think that definitely helps a lot because I'm not
kind of know what it
super
is.
experienced with that, but yeah, it's exciting. I'm happy to be doing something a little different over there. We have Shrek coming up. That will be end of July, early August, I think. I'll be doing lighting for that as well. And PV is doing a whole Shakespeare themed year. Like our whole season is different Shakespeare shows, including we're going to do like The Lion King and is it All Shook Up? I think those are the two that are coming to my mind. And then Shakespeare in Shorts is like a condensed comedic version of Shakespeare stuff. So yeah, we're doing that this year at PV, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So
those are vastly different thematically, right? Yeah. All of those things.
Yeah.
So take me from, what is Greece? 1950s?
Yeah.
1950s Rydell High to the swamp to Shakespeare.
Right.
Take me, what's your process?
I mean, like with lighting, I try to, like, there's the color palettes I pick and the way that I time cues and the chase effects and stuff in the light cues. It is kind of determined by the themes of the show, and sometimes the source material I'll draw a little bit of influence from too. Like Sister Act, which we did in the spring this year. I decided for that show, I was like, I'm going to use a lot of white light for this show, because I usually do like really saturated colors with my lighting, a lot of like blues and pinks and reds. In this show, I was like, no, we're going to have a lot of amber, because it's a churchy environment. When I think of a church, I think of the sun coming through stained glass, and it's really bright and holy, well, like white light. So that was a big influence for me, and I went with these very amber and white color palettes for a lot of the looks in that show. Grease, I was trying to kind of capture the youthful feeling of the show with some of my lighting design choices. So there's a lot of kind of returning back to that more saturated, those color choices and stuff. It's a little interesting to kind of have all these like modern lights, and then I'm trying to make a show look old school. Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know if it quite lands. Yeah, that's something that I have to consider. And then Shrek is also gonna be kind of a unique thing. I'm probably gonna lean more into like ambers and greens for that show, and reds. It's kind of thinking of the movie and the color palettes and that. I'll probably draw from that and how the lighting looks in the movie.
That makes sense. And I think that, it's kind of become, it's kind of a, I don't know, I don't want to say a joke, but like so for those viewers who are watching that aren't familiar with how Farmington picks the Four Corners musical theater shows, it's supported by the city, and the city puts out a survey, and what tends to win the surveys are the musicals that either are very well known or have a movie, because that's what people know, and that's fine. Maybe for the more the connoisseur out there, they would like to see something a little different. That's okay. I appreciate that the city wants to know what people want to go to, because you want butts in the seats at the end of the day,
that's
right?
Very true.
But does that influence your design, where you have these, like, Sister Act is so iconic,
right?
You have Whoopi, and it's just such a big thing. And same thing with Shrek and Grease. These are such iconic films. Do you draw a lot of that, or do you try to, say, okay, I acknowledge that this is a thing out here, but I'm going to make it my own?
A little bit of both, I think. The cool thing with lights is that we can kind of change throughout the show. I think that, in like Sister Act and in Grease, the scenes that are more like fantastical, I tend to use more different lighting than what you might have seen in the movie, right? So like Beauty School Dropout in Grease, there's a lot of pink and cool white, and it's very I wanted it to look very dreamy, and you don't really get that as much in the movie. I mean, they're going for a practical look with the lights in the movie, and I mean the same thing with Sister Act. It's just not the music is rock and roll, but the lighting is very I don't like stagnant, it's what you would expect to see in a church or in like an old club in the couple scenes where they're not in the church. And so I mean, I will look at the movie, and there's things that I will draw from it, but I also try to find ways to make it a unique visual experience from the movie. I try to also kind of keep in mind what our sets look like, what costumes look like. Your lights affect how all of that looks to the audience. It can affect how makeup looks. So I try to kind of keep up with what our set team and our costume team are doing when I'm working on my lighting designs and picking colors and things like that. So there's a lot of different things that kind of influence the choices I make. And some of it's just kind of like how I feel when I'm listening to the songs too. I'm like, I see red in this song, or I see white, or it's just it just depends on how it sounds and how I kind of interpret it, and also somewhat what our director wants to, if they ask for certain colors. Or one of my favorite things was I got asked to do black and white lighting for Young Frankenstein, and I was like, I'm not sure I can quite make lighting black and white, like white light is all of the colors,
right?
But if you do like a monochromatic palette, like only blue lights, you start to kind of get a similar feel to black and white. So like you have to kind of be creative with some of those notes, and they may not quite click right away. We're like, how am I going to do black and white lighting? How am I going to make a film projector? And then you kind of get those ideas, and it works. So yeah, it's a lot of different things go into the choices I make and what inspires me. And
yeah, I think it's really interesting that you have all these inspiration, and you have a lot of options to draw from, but you're specifically when you talk about lighting, there's a lot of art, but there's also a lot of technique that goes into that. And so do you ever find that that's kind of frustrating? Like, I want it to look like this, but maybe the technique doesn't exist yet, or, like, I got to figure this out.
I wouldn't, maybe not technique so much, but it's what we have available to work with. So like for sandstone, for example, we have this big truss behind the audience to hang lights on, and then we've got these 2 pipes out on the sides of the audience, and that's really all we have to hang lights. At the Civic Center, we've got all the overhead systems too, and that gives me a lot more options. So the challenge is figuring out how to make things look good with a limited amount of fixtures and a limited amount of angles you could hit things from, and trying to figure out ways to kind of improve that with each show. So yeah, I mean, like, sometimes I have an idea of what I want to do and it's just not feasible. And that can be tough to work with, but it's also it's fun. I like the challenge of trying to work with like a more minimalist setup. It's really, I think creative people can really excel when they limit the tools that they have. And I mean, even in like music production, I feel that way too. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's frustrating. It's frustrating in a fun way, I guess, is how I'd put it.
Challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fun, and I like the way you put that. That like you're just limited by what you have. Doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right. Exactly.
Like
yeah.
So you talked about sound design. So you're a music producer also.
Yes. I'm terrible at finishing my music. So if you're wanting to listen to it, there's only like 3 songs on Spotify.
Okay.
But
that's 3 more than I have.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm trying to write an album right now. We'll see if that goes anywhere by the end of the summer. I'm always saying I'm going to release music and then I don't. So what's your
genre?
I thought we were making a music video.
Eventually, I want to do that. Yeah, let's make a music video. It's I write like, do you know what synthwave is? Yeah, I don't know if it's completely purely synthwave. Sure. I kind of draw a lot of influence from it, but yeah, I like that kind of retro electronic sound mixed with modern elements as well. That stuff kind of fascinates me. Analog equipment, I don't have any of my own, but I love how it sounds and I love how it works. And if I had a little bit more money available, I'd probably have a bunch of expensive music equipment. But finding ways to kind of emulate that is also interesting and fun in its own way. So
I got a couple more questions on here that I think we haven't touched on. Okay. What is the state of theater?
Around here or in general?
Let's talk about both. Let's talk about local and then a more global view.
So like, I think that Farmington is in this really unique position of almost like leading performing arts in the state. Like we've got these really competitive high school theater programs, both PV and FHS have some really solid programs and they're doing well at competitions. And then we've got the high school theater stuff that the Civic Center does and the younger kids stuff. We do like a high school production and then a little kids production each year. And all of these things are working together. Like that gives the different high schools a chance for their kids to kind of mix and they get exposure to more professionals. And then they go back to the high schools and those talents and those skills take off at the high schools. It's really cool to see this performing arts community in Farmington is it's really strong and there's a lot of talented people, a lot of talented locals. And I just, that's really exciting. I think that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that there's been a concerted effort to grow those programs, and I am very encouraged by the growth that we see. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I mean, even if it's not ending up as career paths for these kids. I feel like the enrichment from just making art, being part of these big ensembles, learning how to perform, how to work with technology, how to solve problems on the fly. And all of these things are really useful skills that will translate to other things later in their lives. And I think that's really important. And it's good that we're investing so much into it. I think it's cool that you guys have put together this foundation too. Like, it's great. A lot of great things happening in Farmington.
Yeah.
Hashtag hire a theater kid.
Yes.
Hire a theater kid.
Hire a theater kid.
We just talked about that. So I don't know how we're going to put these episodes out or what order they're going to come in, but I mentioned once before, we talked to Melly about that whole process of, I was a theater kid in high school. I don't do theater now. This is what I do as far as theater goes.
Right.
I told her I'm a professional audience member, and I really enjoy that role. It's my favorite one. But the things that I learned as a theater kid and the skills that I have, all of that stuff has absolutely shaped my entire career. And I'm in medicine. I'm not
right. I
don't do anything with theater, but it's also, there's certain aspects that it is performative. Now I'm in administration, so I have to go and meet with people and I have to have that interaction where, if I didn't learn how to interact with a partner on stage, I may not be able to do that as well today. And so it's so important. These programs are hugely important. And they, even if kids don't make it their career, it absolutely affects every part of their life going forward. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, I think it's cool. It's important what we're doing. And I like that, I'm getting this combination of like getting to be creative, getting to solve problems. I'm helping these kids kind of figure themselves out and what they want to do with their lives I'm really grateful to just be so active with the community and just see it growing. And
well, Dani, I can tell you from my experience, I'm really proud of you as a human
Thank
and a
you.
person to watch you go from student in high school to what you're doing now, and you're providing that opportunity for these current high school kids and for the other teenagers in our community and for all of the children that are participating in Heather McGoy's theater.
Right.
You're providing that opportunity for them, whether it's just you turning on the lights or you're giving them that awesome design. You're creating a space for the youth to indulge in theater. And it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree.
It's one of my favorite things about working around here is just how engaged we get to be with the youth. And I think it's important to have a space for them to do things that's not just playing video games or looking at their iPad, or I'm starting to sound like an old person, but you know what I mean, right? Like, and I don't know, like, I feel like unfortunately Farmington, there's not a lot for kids to do outside of extracurriculars. Sure. So, and theater is a really good opportunity for kids to mingle and be creative and have fun and learn. So
also, to speak to your job as being the theater manager for Toronto Crispin Performing Arts Theater, you're exposing everybody to that. So those Danae spelling bee students, they get the opportunity to be backstage, to talk in front of a mic, to see that monitor pointing back at them.
Yeah.
And whether you realize it, they realize it, that's exposure for them.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't even there for theater, they were.
Yeah, they're still on the stage. I mean, it takes a lot of confidence to go and be in those contests, right?
Absolutely.
So, and it's cool to be backstage and see all the inner workings of things. So,
yeah, and who knows? Maybe you opened the eyes of those kids that like they didn't even know that was an option. Yeah, and that's great. Let's zoom out a little bit, global, or at least more continental. Where's theater at?
I feel like compared to a lot of other industries, we're faring this surge of AI pretty well. It's not laying off a bunch of people in theater the way that it has in a lot of other industries. And I mean, that's good. It does make me wonder if at some point we're going to start seeing like our jobs kind of get replaced by computers and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that that's good. I think that theater, it's this art form that has maybe kind of lost its prominence over time with film and TV and streaming and all that. It's like people can watch stuff at home. Why? But then you go to a theater and you experience that, and it's such an intimate form of entertainment compared to something on a screen. And I think that there's something really important about that, and I think people still recognize that human experience of being a live audience with the live performance. There's almost something kind of spiritual about
absolutely.
it, like it's a very human thing, and I think a lot of people are longing for that these days. So I think that theater is doing well, and I think it's going to continue doing well. The entertainment industry it's kind of crazy sometimes. I know that a lot of the hours that some technicians work can be just a lot, and they love their jobs, so it doesn't affect them too much. But I do feel like we need to kind of work on maybe improving people's work-life balances in this industry. Especially with like touring shows and those professional concerts and the really big productions. I hear from a lot of my friends that, they're having a lot of fun, but they're really tired. And so almost like our success is too much. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about the industry overall. There's been some really cool productions and some cool technology that's come along recently, and that's exciting to see too.
I think I agree with you that like this AI aspect brings this big unknown, and I try to be optimistic about it. I think as far as live performance, obviously a computer's never going to be able to do that,
right?
And I think that as humanity, we crave that performance art, and you talked about it being spiritual, and 100% I agree with you. That's what church is for a lot of people, is you're just going to watch someone perform the oldest book, right? That's really what you're doing. You're listening to that person perform their rendition of it. I think when we look at things like AI and film, there could be some concern there, right? AI is pretty darn good at making movies right now today. I think that for theater, for the performance arts, I see it as an enhancement. Like we're only going to make the things we can do better. Because maybe, you have this idea and you can work with an AI based program to create a better version of it, or whatever that is. I don't think it's ever going to eliminate humanity, especially in the performance arts. And what I really see is, hopefully we get to a place as society where maybe AI does take that workload off of a lot of people, and now they can pursue those passions that, they get to put their music together and have 3 songs on Spotify and, that kind of stuff that working a 9-to-5 grind every day, they probably wouldn't have got to do that. So I try to be an optimist when it comes to that, because it could be really scary the other way. I think, it's going to take us a while to figure things out, and there's probably going to be some rough patches on the way. But I think automation in general it'll benefit humanity eventually. It might not at the moment, just because of the way we run things, but like over time, less people needing to do jobs means more free time, right? It should anyways. So hopefully we get to see an explosion of art and expression and exploration and stuff as this stuff takes over more and more. And it's almost like, I like the phrase, history doesn't repeat itself, but it echoes. You see these kind of Renaissance times throughout history, and maybe that's what this is. Maybe AI ushers in this new renaissance of humanity where we get to be more expressive, and we get to be involved. I think the other issue that we face though is we have to we have to bring things back to our community.
Right.
You know, when you try to be that expression, when you try to have that expression for the whole world, you get really disappointed really fast.
Yeah.
But if you can still go to your local theater and you can see the people sitting in the audience that you see at, you know, Walmart, or whatever, wherever, you see those people out and about, and you go, oh, okay, yeah, those are my people, regardless of all of the other things that separate us, right? That's my community. Those are my people, and they're here enjoying what I do, and vice versa. As a professional audience member, I'm enjoying what you do. Right. I think that is just continues to strengthen us. And so, you know, if we can temper the expanse of AI with the locality of community, I think we're going to be okay. But who knows? Who knows what that looks like?
I think part of what I was saying about why I think theater is maybe going to come out a little more on top because of AI is because I feel like people are going to crave that human experience with art. Yes. And if we're making film with AI and music with AI, it's maybe you won't be able to tell, but sometimes it's kind of got this artificial feeling to it. And I think that nowadays a lot of people are kind of craving the opposite of that. They want to feel human. They want to feel natural when they see their art. So maybe it'll kind of work in our favor in a couple ways. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it is hard to say, but I agree. And I think, like I said, I try to be an optimist in this. Yeah. Because otherwise I just get scared.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's... Yeah.
Yeah. It could be very interesting.
Do you have any advice?
Yeah.
Like, if anyone was curious to be in theater in general or tech specifically, like, what advice do you have?
Get with your local groups. There's, even in Farmington, we've got Theater Ensemble Arts. If you want to work with the community theater, our auditions for the Civic Center shows, a lot of them are just open to the public. So if you want to try acting, go for it. Tech, you can learn this stuff on your own for free sometimes. Like lighting, the software we use to visualize and stuff, like it's free. You may not have the full functionality, but if you want to learn how to program lights or learn how to do lighting design, you can do a lot of that for free. You just need a laptop or something like that. And yeah, just get involved with local shows. Doesn't necessarily have to be theater either. There's other things happening, and don't be afraid to try other things. If you get used to a certain area, don't be afraid to go and try something different too. It can be really refreshing to step out of your comfort zone and do something new.
Growth is not often found in the comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah. I would love to have some students or some interns or some people who want to learn lighting. If it's something that they're interested in, I think that actually working on these things is a great teacher. You can listen to someone lecture about it and learn a lot, but when you actually do it yourself, you start to really get a feel for what works and what doesn't and how to solve issues and things like that. So yes, I would love to have some interns or some students shadowing me or even like working on their own designs a little bit with my supervision. Yeah.
Cool.
And I mean, we kind of do that at PV already, but at the Civic Center too, it'd be great.
Yeah.
I think. So
maybe some students that don't go to PV, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
We're giving them that opportunity, and especially the opportunity. So kids are in the environment. They learn a call time. They learn to listen to the director.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They learn when to be quiet.
Right.
Yeah. How to use a wrench.
How to use a wrench. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many kids you have to explain what clockwise means to and tell them what a socket on a wrench is and explain to them why you don't want to touch the exposed parts of a cable. But, they got to learn that stuff.
You learn that the hard way real fast.
Yeah. And a lot of that stuff, it's just basic life skills too.
Yeah.
Come from theater.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you for having me.
I have really enjoyed this. I think our audience will really enjoy it. All 3 of them out there.
They can listen to the 3 songs.
Hey, there we go. All right.
1 per person.
Now, hopefully this podcast will continue to grow. Do you have any like social media or anything that you want to throw out there? If not, that's
I think
okay.
I should, right?
Maybe this is an opportunity.
And we can link your Spotify.
Yeah, we can.
My artist name is Star Basic.
Right.
2 words. If you want to listen to my music, it's on everything, not just Spotify. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Well, hey folks, it's Jordan Richards with Juniper Performing Arts Foundation. Don't forget to check out our podcast, Beyond the Curtain, anywhere you find podcasts. And if you would like to join us on the show, or you want to see somebody, or maybe you have someone that you think we should talk to, email us at info@juniperpaf.com. Don't forget to check out our website, juniperpaf.com, for all things performing arts related throughout Farmington and the northwestern New Mexico region. Here's some things that you might be interested in happening in the community near you. Film Four Corners is hosting the Freedom Days Electric Light Parade on Saturday, July 4th, 9 p.m., downtown Farmington. 250 years of America, and you're not going to want to miss this parade. It's going to be a good time. Four Corners Musical Theater presents Grease, June 11th through July 12th at Lions Wilderness Amphitheater. Shows start at 8 p.m., weather permitting. Caliente Community Choir is going to present their cul-de-sac concert July 21st on Echo Lane, just off of Glade Drive. This is going to be a great time for the community. Take your kids, enjoy some beautiful choir music. Theater Ensemble Arts presents Dracula, a Comedy of Terrors. Show runs September 25th and 26th, as well as October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Super excited to see this one. Always a good time with TEA. Again, I'm Jordan Richards, Juniper Performing Arts Foundation. Join us for the podcast. Make sure you follow us on social media. We'll see you next time.
A special thank you to our sponsors, Unsicker Law and Industrial Data Management. If you would like to sponsor this podcast, please email us.